Welcome to Time Capsule at Show Museum. Today we're in the Sporting Goods Room exhibit, and we're going to talk a little bit about Muhammad Ali and his visit for training here in Sholo in June of 1976. His health coach had scoped out the area and thought that a higher elevation would benefit Muhammad Ali's training to build his lung capacity and muscle capacity for his boxing match coming up in September with Ken Norton. So the entourage drove up from Phoenix. They got to Sholo and they stopped off at the Maxwell House Cafe for a bite to eat, which is now Sholo Cafe. And they were on their way to Springerville, where the health coach thought that that's where they needed to be. So they had their food. They drove on out east of town. Near the airport, Muhammad said, "Stop the car, I want to get out and go for a run." And so he did. He went for a run, he came back and he said, "Well, this is where I need to be." So they turned around and they went back to the Maxwell House, which is now the Days Inn Hotel. And Mrs. Maxwell, Grandma Verdi Maxwell as we all fondly call her, she checked them in. Well, dear Verdi, she wasn't much of a sports enthusiast, and so she didn't know who he was or his entourage. Then she was visiting with her husband, Arlie Maxwell, and she said, "We just had 5 really big black men check into our hotel, and they wanted to rent rooms for several days, maybe weeks." And he says, "Well, Verdi, who were they?" And she said, "Well, he signed his name as Cassius Clay." She goes, "I don't know who that is." And dear Verdi, "You don't know who Cassius Clay is?" "No, Arlie, I don't." And he about fell out of his chair. Most every morning he would take his daily run from the Maxwell House out to the Sholo Airport. That's where he trained in a Quonset hut and set up an outdoor rink for sparring, which was done on a daily basis. But he also spent a lot of time with the people here in the White Mountains. He and Mr. Maxwell would take almost daily drives throughout the White Mountain region. He was very interested in what made these small mountain communities tick. And he was very genuine about his feelings about the White Mountain Apache tribe members. He spent quite a bit of time with them in White River and Chairman Ronnie Lupe at the time. And he requested that school buses be brought to the airport so that the children from the White River Indian Reservation communities could come up and watch him spar in the ring. And that happened many different times. And all of us got to go out and watch him spar. It was very relaxed. He was doing his job, but it was very relaxed for all of the townspeople. My fondest memory of meeting he and his family, I was in the small grocery store we had here in Sholo. It's called Sholo Market. And his daughter Hannah, who was a baby, was the same age as my daughter Lena. And I was checking out my groceries and I looked up and he and his wife Veronica and baby Hannah came into the grocery store. That baby was just a beautiful little doll baby, and he was holding her as if he was the most proud father that ever was, which I'm sure he was. And I was so impressed by his kindness shown to his wife in helping her pick out their vegetables that I'm sure that they were going to have for their evening meal. None of us in that grocery store bothered them. They were really just folks of Sholo. So the time came and went. The 5 weeks went awfully fast. So he and Ken Norton had their fight at Yankee Stadium. And they went the full 15 rounds, and he won. It was undecided at first, but then it was unanimous that he had won that boxing match. And ironically enough, it was the last fight to be held in Yankee Stadium in September of 1976. So that concludes my story about Muhammad Ali today at the Sholo Museum. Come see us. We are open Wednesday through Saturday, 10 to 3. We'll see you next time.